it's probably down to perhaps a pop to probably walk away from professional storytelling. And that means that if the computer will still let me talk, that means I've got to find something else to do with my life. And I do have a play, perhaps a one act play that I've written that I could now spend more time on. I'm also, of course, got an autobiography to write based on my no story stagnating. So I'm going to be using that perhaps to fill in the time where I was searching for storytelling jobs, because I have decided that I'll still do the ghost stories, but I'll do them on a voluntary basis. And that means I'll still get the enjoyment and the satisfaction of talking to the public, of meeting and connecting with people who come into Tudor World every week. And just lately, we've had some really big groups come in, and groups that have been a real pleasure to talk to. So hopefully, as some of you might see, we're coming up to Halloween, and on the 28th of October, just before Halloween, we do have a production of Tudor World's Halloween ghost stories. That's going to be well worth coming into if you're anywhere near Stratford upon Avon on the 28th of October. But I think there's a big decision for me to come. And it may involve moving, I think for the first time, away from the Midlands, and perhaps going closer to one of my daughters, or in fact both my daughters, perhaps moving up to Sheffield, where I'm hoping that rent is a little less expensive than it is down here in Kenilworth, and that maybe I can make a new start, take a new step forward, and not lapse into the sort of laziness that sometimes I do feel coming on now. I have got to fill the day with something that takes my passion. Now, that may involve volunteering at one of the charity shops. It'll certainly involve, as I say, more writing, more reading. And I have got the idea of at least once a week, maybe more, going down into the woods where I spent some time and simply sitting for an hour quietly and not making any plans at all. Let's just see what comes out of it. Sitting next to the earth. I do know that Native Americans certainly recommended sitting as close to the earth as you can get. Maybe that brings me a new lease of energy, a new purpose, maybe, that can take me on for the next however many years that I'll be on this part of the earth. And so it's exciting. It's, after everything that's happened this year, it's not even frightening. It's just another step, another way of trying to make an impact on myself and on perhaps a few people around me. Trying to find a little more happiness. Am I happy? Nah, I'm not unhappy as a friend of mine always used to say. But I've certainly got to find something now to take the place of the professional storytelling. And who knows, it may be this coming 5 or 6 months will show me the path to find that new experience, that new adventure. It's certainly something I'm going for. Turn off now, because that's my Sunday story. The downside, of course, is that far too much is happening about which I have opinions. And as anyone who knows me knows, I normally let go of my opinions. And that's not going to stop. Because it's important that all of us now, I think, certainly those of us in our 60s and 70s, speak out, because it's for our kids and grandkids. Talk of digital currency, which sounds wonderful. No cash, no cards even, perhaps even just a watch or a fob that you can use to buy anything you want digitally, except that it also gives the government, the banks, the ability to surreptitiously, secretly or not so secretly, switch you off. There was a man on Facebook who was talking about the beauty of AI in vehicles and how it's the future. Now, I can't remember the name of the film, but it was a dystopian future where taxis were driven by AI robots, which normally would be okay, but there was a time of a particular uprising, and some of the people that got into the taxis, instead of being driven to their place of connecting, of meeting friends, was driven straight to a detention centre, or even sometimes driven straight off the road. There was a story on Tim Pool about a man from the left, in fact, who had developed a program that would show up how Google and other tech firms were able to, what's the word I'm looking for? To affect elections without anyone knowing, with no way of proving that they did it or not. So this man had talked about a system that he had developed along with others, which would bring out in the open the way that Google and the other big firms did it. But he talked of the tragic event of his wife dying in a motor accident where her car veered off the road and was hit by a car coming in the opposite direction. And it was Tim Pool that reminded us all that modern vehicles can actually be controlled by, I don't know, but you've seen the new, even the electric cars, the new cars, the new hybrid, the new AI cars that are driving themselves. People are talking of the way to the future. But if an AI car can be programmed to take you to where you want to go, it can also be programmed to take you where other people might want to meet you. And those other people might not have your best intentions at hand, your best wishes. It's a thought that's becoming more and more prevalent. And it's a thought that makes me hope that before I do see that coming, I can make at least one more adventurous trip to somewhere. I think I've said before, I'll be very disappointed if I die here in England. And that means I'm not particularly worried where else I die. And it's going to be interesting to see that. There's no doubt the time's coming. It might be tomorrow, it might be 5 years, 10 years, it might be 20 years. My dad lived until he was about 87, 88. Maybe into his 90s, I think, to be honest. 21, he was born. You work it out. And so, it's a thought that does start to enter the mind more often now. How you may have a limited amount. We all have a limited amount. We never know, do we? And so it really is about making the most of every situation that comes up. Is my ideal situation now? No. But that's not a reason for me to slump down and to give up. It's not in my nature. There are many things I can do. And hopefully over the next week or so, I'll be able to bring them more clarity and maybe tell you more about them next week. So, have a great week. I'm looking forward to at least 1 or 2 more ghost tours. And then we'll see where life takes me. But join me on the journey. Take care. Have a great day. Have a great week. See you next time.